Hi, I'm Ben Buddy Slack, and I'm the founder of the Swan Song Project. The Swan Song Project is a charity that helps people facing the end of their lives to write and record their own original songs. I've been doing a series of interviews with songwriters where I ask them a little bit about their music, about their process, and about how music may have helped them deal with bereavement in the past. This episode features Joe Solo, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, today I'm here with Joe Solo. Thanks for joining me, Joe.
Pleasure.
So Joe's a great songwriter, and he's also, before we get onto the songwriting stuff, I'm going to ask him to just tell you a little bit about We Shall Overcome, which is something you founded a couple of years ago. So I'm going to ask you to just tell which I think a lot of other people who watch these shows were very interested in hearing more about. It's done a lot of great things. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about We Shall Overcome before we get onto your music, Joe?
Yeah. We started We Shall Overcome the day after the 2015 general election. That's quite a lot of general elections ago now, but it was basically a response from the music community to austerity and the impact it was having on our communities. So we set a task of running gigs, not so much for the entrance fee and the artist, but for actually for the community that it was in. So rather than hand over tenner to get in or whatever, you handed over a bag of groceries or a bag of warm clothing, for the homeless. Or so we'd sort of basically turn them into local benefit gigs, but run under one single national umbrella. So we gave them all a badge and a banner to march under, and we've run so far. It's about 1,100 gigs up and down the UK and beyond, and we've raised about £500,000 worth of food and cash and clothing and toiletries and all the things that people on the front line and need are after and are short of. So it culminated at Easter weekend really with the Isolation Festival that we ran online. We raised just short of 30 grand in a day, which has gone straight to the front line in Greater Manchester, fighting homelessness and poverty, and at the moment a lot of community outreach, food parcels for people who have been made unemployed by the lockdown. So we're getting people through it as best we can.
Yeah, it's fantastic, Joe. It's really and it's just great to see how much it took off, and like you say, how many people, how much it's raised, and it's a brilliant thing. How I mean, the music community is great for that kind of thing, isn't it? How behind good things like that to get. And
yeah, I think there's a couple of things I learned from it. One, that the musicians and poets and artistic community are always the first to volunteer the services when there's a problem. If you think back to any benefit gig, any crisis, international or local or national, a benefit gig is probably the first response to it in any community, because musicians, poets, everybody, yeah, I'll do it. And so you're never short of volunteers. And the other thing I learned was you should never ever underestimate the power of a good idea. Yeah. Even in the 21st century, there's great ideas out there, and we shouldn't get cynical. We should, if it's right, it's right,
Yeah, that's brilliant, Joe. Yeah, well done on it, man. It's been it's great to see. So let's get into the songwriter stuff. So yeah, if people have watched these interviews before, we do them in three sections. First, we're going to have talk about one of Joe's songs. Next, he's going to share with us a songwriting tip that might be useful for new songwriters, and then lastly, we're going to talk about a song that's meaningful to Joe, relating to bereavement in some way. So we're gonna play a recorded version of one of your songs, aren't we, Joe? Do you want to tell us what song it is, and then I'm going to do my fancy editing skills and chop it into this video. Then we'll come back to us talking about it.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a song called No Pass Around. It's probably my signature tune, and so I figured that would be the one that if anybody tuned into this video did want to know how it came about.
My name is Jack Atkinson. I'm not afraid. And I live and die by this vow that I've made. The only good fascist's a dead one, they say, and around here we are. When I first left all them months ago, I told them I'd come not to kill but to cure. For an ambulance driver, my shot's pretty sure. And around here we are. There'll be no pasaran, no pasaran, no pasaran today. The fascists have come for our freedom, and we ain't gonna give it away. There'll be no pasaran here today. I told my mother, now mother, be strong, for the left way is right and the right way is wrong. And you can stick that on my grave when I'm gone, for I'm a real we are. There'll be no pasaran, no pasaran, no pasaran today. The fascists have come for our freedom, we ain't gonna give it away. There'll be no pasaran here today. Cast may be cast, and the cast may be cast, but you armies of darkness, you best do your worst. 'Cause to win, yeah, well, you gotta get past us first. And I'm a real we are. There'll be no pasaran, no pasaran, no pasaran today. The fascists have come for our freedom, and we ain't gonna give it away. There'll be no pasaran here, no pasaran, no pasaran, no pasaran today. No pasaran, no pasaran, no pasaran today. No pasaran, no pasaran, no pasaran today. The fascists have come for our freedom, we ain't gonna give it away. There'll be no pasaran here today.
They want to give you without the applause, Joe.
It's a terrible thing, a lack of applause. It's my signature tune, man. Come on. Expecting hoops and hollers, you know.
I should have brought some more people in. Got to get the street clapping for you. But yeah, that's great, Joe. What can you tell us about that then? What can you tell us about writing that one?
Well, first of all, it's a true story, so I had to take a great deal of care with it. Jack Atkinson, who was the narrator of that song, was a volunteer for the International Brigades in the Spanish Civil War. He left Hull for Spain, and and he was killed at a place called Harama on the 21st of February 1937. He was shot through the face by a machine gun bullet, and he was dead before he hit the ground. His story was told to me by a friend of mine, a lad called Giles Stevens, and because Jack Atkinson was Giles's great uncle, and very proud of the family connection. And so I had to take great care with it. But what I wanted to write was a song. I mean, Jack was 25 when he died, and a lorry driver, and a very politicised anti-fascist. And he could see the Second World War coming. He knew what it all meant, and he wanted to try and stop it in the hills of Spain. And so I wanted to write him basically talking himself up into going over the top, because I don't believe people are fearless. I just believe that courage is overcoming that fear, and the song is basically Jack talking himself brave, and I wanted to get that into song if I could, and I think I did. You know, there's a certainty about him that we lack these days. You know, our politics can be a bit airy-fairy sometimes. We're not. But I think it's Tony Benn who said there are two types. There's signposts and there's weather vanes, and there's a lot of people who are weather vanes nowadays. They blow around, but Jack was a signpost. He knew exactly what he wanted from the world, and his sense of certainty and his willingness to die for what he believed in is why I think the song works. And I was close to certain as I can be that I got that into the lyrics.
Yeah, brilliant, Joe. That sounds like a really interesting way of writing songs. And yeah, like I imagine it does come with quite a bit of responsibility, basing it on real people and wanting to feel like you're doing them justice. Do you do that a lot with your songs? Do you take real stories and
real stories and real situations? I find them. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of responsibility not to lie and not to make it something it isn't. But every song's only going to work by sprinkling a little magic dust on it. You know, all story songs are like that, aren't they? I always find it's a little bit disappointing when you read into the backstory of one of the old American folk songs, and you think, well, you know, that song idealises him, but the bloke was a twat. You know what I mean? So those songs disappoint me. So I try and write, rather than folk heroes, I try and write ordinary people, because ordinary people are the genuine folk heroes. You know, we make legends out of people like, I don't know, like Jesse James or Billy the Kid or whatever. But at the end of the day, there's countless ordinary people who went through life and gave far more to humanity than those people did, and they never get a mention. So my songs might on the surface seem a little bit dull because there's no legends attached to them, but I'm trying to write ordinary people's legends as I go.
Yeah, it's a great thing to do. It's something what I kind of find with Swan Song a lot as well when I work with people there. A lot of times they say, like, I've not got anything to write about for my life. I've not got a story to tell, like that. And you get talking to them, and everyone's got such an interesting life story and something like an interesting perspective, or, you know, a series of experiences that then, you know, when you make it into a song form, it just it brings that magic element to it, I guess. Yeah,
no, it's right. You try and write a whole life story, and that's not how things are remembered. You know, like a movie, for instance, captures like a short period of time in a story, doesn't it? And it tells it. And you know, my question was always, but what happened after the credits rolled? What happened next? Who said that to Thingy? Why? You know, or the people who die. You know, I was watching John Wick the other day. You know, and the body count's massive, but every single one of the people John Wick kills was somebody's son, and you know, and grew up a child with hopes and dreams and aspirations that some way along the line turned them into somebody that John Wick's okay to kill. Do you know what I mean? And I'm more interested in them stories, because that's where the truth of life is, you know.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Joe. Really interesting stuff. So let's move forward into section 2. So this is where I've been asking my guests to share a songwriting tip that might be useful for new songwriters or people just getting into it. So what have you got for us, Joe? What would you advise aspiring songwriters?
I think the best tip is the one I read in a Hemingway short story years and years and years ago, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit because I can't remember it exactly. But he said, "You take a single line of truth, and you move on from there." And nice. I always find that that's the best place to start. Don't make shit up, you know. Take a single line of truth and move on. You know, that's how you write. That's how I write songs anyway. You know, that way I know they're honest. You know, and I know that you've started right. Yeah, and yeah, you chisel away at them, and yeah, what originally might have been your first line, you might think you might try to twist that, or you might try and reveal it for something else. But there's lots of different versions of the truth. You know, there's no one single truth. So if you're writing character songs, their truth might not be your truth, and your truth might not be the listener's truth. You know, but as long as it's honest, it will resonate.
Yeah, that's really good, Joe. That's really interesting. Yeah, you got me thinking about quite a lot of different things there. One of the question that came to mind when you were talking about that, which might be quite a tricky question, so we'll see how we get on. How do you, and it kind of linked on to what you said about it taking different forms sometimes. How would you go about, or have you got any thoughts on finding that initial truth? Like, is it, I guess I'm sure it comes in many different ways, but is there any ways that you use particularly? And like you say, is it like you hear a line and you think that's a great starting point, that's a true statement, I'm going to start with that? Or is it from a story and then it pulls out of it? Or does that make sense?
If I'm writing a character song like No Pastoranis, the opening line is, "My name is Jack Atkinson, I'm not afraid." Now, that you've taken up the song, right? I'm Jack Atkinson. I've pulled on Jack's boots, and I'm going to walk a mile in them for the purpose of this song, for the length of this song. And the "I'm not afraid" line is, you know, there's an irony to it. You know, he is, but he's talking himself out of it, but it's the truth, because that's how he's talking himself out of it. So those songs are kind of easy. I've written those songs, those character songs, where the first line is me saying who I am, quite a lot. You know, because I think that it helps you pull their boots on. You know?
Yeah.
But sometimes, you just think, oh, that's a great line. I've got to take something from that. Yeah, you read it, or you hear somebody say something, and then you paraphrase it into a line. But as long as it's an honest starting point, it's always going to be okay from there. You know, you'll find it difficult to stray away from an honest first line. The other tip, if I can squeeze in a second one, is don't be afraid of your accent, because in particular, if you're writing honest songs, if you're writing songs like I do, character songs, your accent authenticates it. You know, because it's a true voice. It's an honest voice immediately because it's in an accent. So it makes your character believable. Whereas if I tried to sing that song in a transatlantic accent, it wouldn't be Jack Atkinson from Hull, would it? It would be a song that's pretending to be Jack Atkinson from Hull. But your accent, don't be afraid of it. Americans aren't afraid of it. The Irish aren't afraid of it. But, you know, and up until fairly recently, we were petrified of regional accents in the UK. I think it's nuts, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a good one as well. A double whammy. So yeah, thank you. So yeah, let's move into section 3 show. So this is where I ask my guests to select a song that means something to them relating to bereavement, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about it. So in a minute, Joe's going to tell you what song he's chose. The link will be in the description where you can go watch it on YouTube. So if you're watching this, you can pause the video here, go and listen to the song, and come back, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about it. So what song did you choose for us, Joe?
Well, I chose a song that isn't necessarily a death song, but I chose A Rainy Night in Soho by the Pogues. It's such a beautiful song that I've always thought of death when I've heard it. But but not in a negative way. I think Shane MacGowan's a great writer for this. He writes death, but the songs are about life, if that makes sense. And I saw him interviewed about this in the 80s, and he was criticised for most of the songs on Rum Sodomy and the Lash mentioning death in some form. And I remember his reply really clearly, because he said, how can you possibly think about life until you acknowledge death? You don't run from it, don't be afraid of it, confront it, because you are going to have a full stop to your sentence. And between now and the full stop, you write your life, you write on the canvas of your life. And so his songs are life songs to me. They're really life affirming, and I think A Rainy Night in Soho really does that, because it's a love song, but it's an extreme love song. It's absolutely the most romantic, the most life, death, the most everything song. Just everywhere, the way the music moves around, but like a really repetitive melodic refrain. Everything about it announces love, but loss and longing and unfulfilled dreams, and yet hope, and it all, for me, it's a song I'd want playing at my funeral, because I think there's death in it, but the greatest ever sort of musical affirmation of life and love and loss and longing and hope and dreams first, and so it makes me feel alive, you know.
Yeah, that's a great description of it, Joe. It's a stunning song. It's one that means a lot to me as well. When I first started playing music, was playing old Irish songs and playing a lot of the Pogues, and that was one of them. And I remember learning it and being amazed that it was just that same progression the whole way through. And I had a nice little thing. When I was a very basic guitar player, it's one of the first finger picking things I learned. And also, I thought with a few of the Pogue songs, I loved them at the time, but now being a bit older, I've gone back to them and kind of revisited them with a bit of an older mindset. And just all that meaning you were talking about then just really comes out of them. That one and A Pair of Brown Eyes is one of my favourites of theirs.
Yeah, that's a great song, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go back through all the references to the songs that he's mentioning, and it's such an amazingly well-crafted lyric that it's telling you the soundtrack to this conversation he's having with the old man in the pub that's coming off the jukebox, and it's always feeding into the conversation. And it's just superb. What a great lyric that is.
Yeah, genius. That's an amazing songwriter.
It's just got that way there's longing to it, but without any sentimentality whatsoever. You know, when other, I think that comes in his voice. If you had somebody more honeyed and more sort of like croony doing that, then they'd maybe find sentimentality in it, and it would lose some of its attack. But because he's so matter of fact, and he's giving it a drunken romance, that sort of like last orders romance. It's all the more poignant, I think. They're just so beautifully done. They are wonderful songs. And he's written 4, 5, 6 songs that people will be playing around campfires in 300 years' time. And those are 2 of them. And they're just timeless. Absolute genius. And the fact that he was in his 20s writing them is just frightening.
It's crazy, yeah, amazing. So thanks for that, Joe. It's been great talking to you. You've got some stuff coming up. Do you want to just give that a mention? You're going to do a live stream?
Live streaming from here in the shed on Saturday night, May the 2nd, from 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's an all request show from my Facebook. And we're going to be playing songs from going back to almost 30 years. So it's going to be great fun, if a little challenging.
Yeah. Good stuff. And people can follow you, Joe Solo, and they can follow the We Shall Overcome stuff as well. Yeah. Good stuff, yeah.
On Facebook, I'm Joe Solo Music on Facebook. I'm at Joe Solo Music on Twitter, and the We Shall Overcome stuff you'll find if you search it. Facebook, Twitter, wherever you look, you'll find it.
Brilliant, yeah. Thanks for joining me, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll be back with another episode soon.